So tonight's talk is kind of a throwback to a talk that Sifu Brown gave after I asked him this question somewhere close to 17 years ago, I would say. And this was after I had been coming to meditation class for a while, and I had, Sifu Brown talks all the time like me, obsessively about meditation and mindfulness. And I was thinking, if meditation is trying to have no thoughts, clearing your mind, and mindfulness is like having, being in the moment and being present and being aware of what's going on. How do we reconcile those two things? And so the question of this week at the dojo is, what's the difference between meditation and mindfulness? And I've had a few people give me great answers. I've had you two give me multiple answers. In fact, do you guys mind giving me some of your answers at some point? So I'll come back to it. And on some level, it's semantics. So I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I said, this is what I'm talking about in my meditation class tonight. I'm talking, what is the difference between meditation and mindfulness? And he said, oh, well, I think that meditation and the way that you normally think of it is, just sitting and breathing and in that moment kind of clearing your thoughts and focusing your mind. But I think of meditation as everything that I do. I want to be meditating as I'm walking and as I'm, working and everything that I do. And so in the way that we talk about mindfulness and meditation, it's kind of like that is what he's talking about is mindfulness. If you look at the semantics, I don't know what the dictionary says mindfulness is, but this is what the Sifu dictionary says. So meditation is when I'm sitting and meditating, and mindfulness is, I could have mindfulness while I'm meditating. Meditation is kind of like a tool to create mindfulness or to get to that mindful state. But that's a little bit like booky. That's a little too academic. So let's get into kind of more of like the feeling or the experience of it. So Leah, I'll start with you. Do you want to stand up or you want to stay there? It's up to you.
Right here.
Great. So tell me, you gave me 4 answers the other day. Give me the first one if you can remember it. Just give me one of them.
This one is very obvious, that's why I didn't say it, but the first one is your eyes are closed.
Oh, right. Because I like this one. So you said meditation, your eyes are closed, and mindfulness, your eyes are open, and you're kind of joking. And, when we practice meditation, our eyes are closed. And when we talk about mindfulness and we're referring to it as the day-to-day being mindful, then your eyes are usually open. You're not mindful when you're sleeping, and that's true. And there are plenty of styles of meditation that actually do meditate with their eyes open, and you probably didn't know this. And you can be mindful with your eyes closed. But in general, when you look at the way that we normally are meditating, it's eyes closed and eyes open, is like, it's more like you can think of it as, where is my attention focused? When my eyes are closed, my attention is focused within. It's focused on my breathing. It might be focused on my posture. It might be focused on, the sensation of my body. But it's focused on my mind. It's focused on thoughts that crop up and then I'm able to let them go. It's focused on keeping my mind focused on the breath. And when my eyes are open, my attention is usually out here. And with mindfulness, it's the same idea. I can be mindful of what's going on within me, but I can also be mindful about, what I'm eating. I can be mindful about just this piece of artwork that I'm looking at, or this conversation that I'm having, or I can be mindful of sweeping the floor perfectly. So I think that's a really nice, simple way to look at it. Another one?
But the real answer, and I didn't really think that much about it, was
Mhm.
Whereas meditation is stillness within stillness, because mindfulness, you're actually finding that still point within all the distractions.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the answer that you told me. This is my really real answer, which is meditation is stillness within stillness, and mindfulness is stillness within motion. So it's kind of related to what we were just talking about, where if I'm sitting and meditating, I'm really looking for that deep stillness. And if I literally just sit here and breathe, and I don't even try to do anything else specific, my mind will become more still. I will have fewer thoughts, and my mind will start to just slow down and be more calm and peaceful. And obviously there's more that we do. There's a technique to the way that we sit and meditate, trying to focus on the breath, but that's very true. You're finding stillness within stillness, and then stillness within motion is, I mean, when I hear that, I think of Catherine's retreat that she took herself on. How long were you gone for? 5 days out in the wilderness, just by yourself, rearranging rocks and practicing forms. And you talked to Sifu Brown about, like, what should I do while I'm doing this, or what should I be looking for? And he said something like this, right? What did he say? You're looking for stillness. And it's, he was talking about the difference between quiet and stillness, which are obviously related. But stillness can happen within motion as well, and it's a stillness of your interior state. It's looking at whatever it is that I'm doing and being able to find like a pocket for my consciousness to reside. And normally the consciousness does not reside in a pocket. The consciousness bounces all over the place, and when you start to move, that is naturally what happens mostly in life. But we seek to be still within motion, like in Tai Chi, like a moving meditation, and a way to transfer. I look at Tai Chi as a moving meditation in a way that it is like a bridge from a sitting meditation into everyday life. And so I want to be able to take the same kind of mindfulness that I'm cultivating when I sit and meditate, and I want to take that out into everything else that I do. So I use Tai Chi where my eyes are open and I'm moving, but I'm still focusing on the breath and I'm being very mindful. I'm keeping my consciousness within the pocket of my Tai Chi, and within that there is stillness. And when my mind leaves the pocket and thinks about what's for dinner, or looks at the cars driving by, or I concern myself with how much better this other person looks than me, or whatever it is that my mind does, then I just bring it right back to that little pocket, that stillness. This is kind of related to the question that one of your kids, or the answer that one of your kids gave, right? What was that? The difference between meditation and mindfulness? You told me this right away. I thought this was brilliant. Meditation is having no thoughts. Yeah, mindfulness is like what you do when you're eating or walking. And I really like the visualization, I guess, or the mental image that I get about walking mindfully or eating mindfully. This is one of my favorite things to do that I never did before martial arts and meditation, is to just like enjoy doing a thing, like not for any other reason other than just doing the thing. Like eating, I remember to this day the first bowl of cereal that I really, really enjoyed. And I have talked about cereal in the past. I don't eat cereal anymore because I don't actually think that it's very good for you, but I am a connoisseur of textures and flavors, and like the perfect bowl of cereal is a mix of several different textures and flavors. And I did that beforehand, but I still, with all the thought and energy that I poured into choosing the kind of cereal and the flavors and making sure I got something that's going to get soggy, but something that's going to stay crunchy for a little bit longer, and all of this stuff, I still never really truly enjoyed cereal until I poured it one morning after I had started practicing martial arts. And I thought, today I'm going to just eat my cereal and pay attention to every bite. I'm actually going to like feel the sensation of the crunching and the swallowing and the flavor, and it's something that I do more naturally now, kind of like automatically, but it's something that I still find myself needing to go back to and deciding, like I'm not just gonna sit here and watch TV or just have a conversation and ignore the food that I'm having, or like what we do when you eat something really good, you take the first bite and you go, oh, that's so good, and then that's it, like you're done paying attention to it, and then you're just stuffing it and paying attention to whatever else it is that you're doing. But to actually be there, present for every bite, and not even every bite, but for every chew that you take. This is just a different way of living your life. And so if you think of something every day, like eating your cereal or walking down the street or whatever it is that you do, and you think about just doing that thing, kind of like the answer that your kid gave, I'm meditating and I'm trying to sit without thinking. I'm sitting without thought. But the act of doing that is, there's actually a lot going on within that simplicity. There is greater focus. I'm training my mind to be able to focus on whatever it is I want it to focus on. I'm clearing my mind on a deeper level. I'm getting reconnected to something bigger than myself. I'm getting connected to God or Spirit or the divine. I'm connecting to my bigger self. What is most real. I'm connecting to reality. I'm connecting to what is beyond my little self and all these thoughts. And that's huge. To be able to do that under any circumstance is incredible. And the more often we do it, the more impact it's going to have on us. And we are able to whatever degree, take that out into everyday life. And that's what that's what mindfulness is. So if I'm sitting and just focusing on my breath, that's essentially just sitting and breathing. And this is something that you'll hear really wise people say, and I'm stealing it from somebody. I forget who. I think it's from, it's not from Zen Flesh, Zen Bones. It's from something. Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, I think. And the author says that if you're just sitting, that's it. That's the point. You don't need to get anywhere with your meditation. You don't need to achieve any kind of higher state. You don't need to do any of that. If you're just sitting, that's it. And if you go into it with that attitude of, I don't need to accomplish anything right now, then it kind of frees you up to experience that moment in all of its fullness without having to grasp at anything else. But you are essentially just sitting, right? Or you are essentially just breathing. So you're just doing a thing. And you're able to focus on it. When you take that out into mindfulness, it's doing the same thing. You can think of meditation and mindfulness both as just doing one thing. So I'm eating, or I'm walking, or I'm sweeping, or I'm talking, or whatever else. This is just essentially what we're talking about, is I just do one thing. And it's almost impossible for us to do this because our minds are so amazing at being able to pretend that we're doing 100 things at once. But you can't enjoy whatever it is that you're doing in this moment if you're simultaneously thinking about doing other things or actually trying to do other things. So that's what I will say is the similarity between meditation and mindfulness, is the simplicity of it. The the absolute perfection of the moment that exists in just doing that one thing and being totally satisfied by it. So the difference is, on some level, it's semantics. It's, are my eyes closed or open? It's, am I moving or am I still? It's, am I trying to clear my mind by focusing on one thing, or am I trying to really focus on this other thing in order to really enjoy it? But it's all very related. And if this is a great example of what we really try to do in our physical practice, successfully and unsuccessfully sometimes, is we end up compartmentalizing things, and we think of this technique as being separate from this technique, as being separate from this technique, because our minds love putting things into little cubbies and separating things into their little places. But on some level, it's all just part of the same, right? They share principles, they share intention, they share a very similar experience. The way that I feel when I practice is, very similar. If I'm throwing a punch or a kick, or I'm throwing my partner, I'm grappling, or we're doing push hands, or I'm just doing Tai Chi by myself, I'm still just, experiencing the energy in my body, the way that I'm moving in this mindful way. So I actually really love the answer that the person who I asked earlier today gave to me about, what I try to do is I try to meditate all day long. And if that works for you, to think of mindfulness as being, I'm meditating in whatever action I'm taking right now, or I'm meditating in whatever situation I find myself in, and that's brilliant. Do that. If it works for you the other way, to think, my meditation is me being really mindful and being very aware and being present in the moment, then great, do that. And if it works for you to separate them and have it, the semantics being over here versus over here, then while somewhere in your mind you're creating kind of a separation, if for now that's the best way that it works for you, okay too. It's kind of a trick question. What's the difference between meditation and mindfulness? Is on some level there is no difference. So when we sit to meditate now, which we're going to be starting early tonight, when we sit to meditate now, this is what you're going to be doing, is just giving yourself a chance to do one thing. Do it for no other reason. Do it with no other end in mind. Just sit to sit and breathe to breathe. And when your mind starts, trying to make yourself wrong for the way that you're doing it, just let that go. Like that, making yourself wrong and fighting against the thoughts and all of that, that's just extra stuff. That's outside of the scope of what we're doing, which is just one thing. So sit comfortably.